G'day, ladies and gentle cars. That's a Cars reference if you've seen the movie Cars featuring Lightning McQueen and Owen Wilson. Anyway, welcome to the second installment of Before Our Time. And guys, we've got a brand spanking new episode of Before Our Time. We're going through everything WrestleMania 2. A little catch up if you guys aren't unaware. This show is basically we're watching every WrestleMania in chronological order, reviewing them with really fresh eyes, I think. Most of these manias we haven't seen because we were in our daddy sack. I said that last week. I'm keeping
right
the daddy sack, the joke going. It's right in the daddy sack. And but yeah, we're here
before our time world.
Exactly. It's part of the lore at this point. But yeah, we're out of the daddy sack now, and I couldn't be happier because I'm joined by my good friend,
the Hollywood Idol, young Anthony, and I'm joined by my friend who didn't introduce himself at the top of the show,
Lightning McQueen. No, I'm Lightning McQueen. What can I say? Ka-chow. You know what I mean? The Australian icon. The Australian icon, Nick Storm. I can do a tomato this whole... Look, I've got it in me to do a tomato impression this whole episode. Don't pay me. I will do it.
Hey, look, I don't blame you. It's a great impression to have. There are a few great impressions to have, especially Lord Alfred Hayes, but we'll get there, folks. But yes, like you said, we're on to the second episode. First episode, we got a lot of good feedback. One of those being the hate on Lord Alfred, and we will definitely get to that portion of the show. But definitely, if you enjoyed what you saw last week, you're basically going to get the same this week. Just this time around, we're talking about April 7th, 1986, WrestleMania number 2. And it's bigger and better than ever. Takes place in 3 different cities. Holy shit, is there a lot to talk about, eh, Nick?
Oh my god. 3 different cities? I've heard stories. I've heard myths. I've heard legends about this WrestleMania. Not good myths, not good legends, but the fact that there was 3 different locations going on in this WrestleMania. First off, why isn't that happening in this day and age? And then second off, I found out after watching this pay-per-view why it doesn't happen this day and age.
Yes.
Just really confusing all along the board. But dude, yeah, it took place in Uniondale, New York. I'm reading off your notes, Anthony. Thank you. Rosemont in Chicago, and Viva Los Angeles in California. The 3 kind of huge markets. Viva Los Angeles. Never heard that. I just made it up.
Never heard Viva Los Angeles, Nick. But hey, look, there's always a first for everything. Before you dive too deep into my notes, do you want to get into this first segment?
Of course I goddamn do. We're getting into the road of WrestleMania, baby.
It's time for the road to WrestleMania. All right, folks. Before we can get to WrestleMania 2, we have to jump on the road to WrestleMania. So let's get right into it. As Nick was alluding to before, we started the segment. Yes, WrestleMania 2. That's the wrong logo up there. Whatever. We'll go with it. WrestleMania 2 happened in 3 separate locations. Vince McMahon found that the first Mania was such a big success that because of this, he could sell out 3 separate arenas in one night across all different areas of the United States. Those being Uniondale in New York, Rosemont in Chicago, and Los Angeles in California. 3 huge markets. I don't think you can get any bigger than New York, Chicago, and California, unless we did a show in Australia. In that case, we would really be selling out Mania. Basically, the way that he found this all to work was each show would have 3 matches. It would have its own main event, with the rest of the pay-per-view being played on big screens. So you would have to pay to be in the arena to watch 2 out of, 2/3 of the show on a big screen. Oh boy. I don't know if I would have wanted to pay for a Mania ticket to watch it on TV, but hey, that's That's just a young guy talking here. What's your take on this? What is your take on running 3 venues, first of all? And do you think
Man.
that this could ever work in 2022?
I think you could honestly work. Like I'm thinking about like I'm an AEW shill to the core, right?
Of
I'm
course.
thinking like what you could do is like have a dark running while one part of a pay per view is going on, but then like that doesn't make sense because then you're missing out on Mania, but you don't want the crowd to be bored just watching a screen. So it's like I think it's a very like hard kind of like thing to tackle and do successfully. I read in one of my notes it would be really funny if they just didn't have a screen at all and they have to just they were just sitting there for
Just sitting
waiting
there
for
awkwardly,
their
like,
time to shine.
I wonder
Yeah.
what's going on in New York right now.
Yeah, I thought, I thought that was a really funny visual. But yeah, alas, they had screens. Thank God. The poor people of New York, Rosemont and Viva Los Angeles. There we go. I'm making it
Viva
canon.
Los Angeles,
There's
baby.
gonna be like license plates with Viva Los Angeles on it and stuff like that. Boom. Oh, hey, there you go. New shirt. Viva Los Angeles.
Sure, we've already got like
but-
4 shirts by now, but Viva Los Angeles has to
Yeah.
be one.
Look,
Look,
the whole pro wrestling tees site is just gonna be before
It's
our
just
time
gonna be
shirts, and you
before
better
our
like
time.
it.
you definitely make some good points here. I don't know if it could work. Well, let me start by saying, if any a time to run a show in 3 venues, I think this day and age for both AEW and WWE would be the ideal time to do it because both of the rosters are humongous. You can definitely fill out 3 separate arenas with 3 separate rosters and have enough star power to make it work. Look, I'll give it to Vince for saying that he built up his brand, he built up his superstars, he built up the WrestleMania name to the point where he could make WrestleMania to this level, that he could take it to the 3 biggest markets, put big superstars in each of these shows, and be able to make WrestleMania what it turned out to be. Of course, it wasn't a great show, but nonetheless, it was a show. But last point, no one goes to a show to watch it from the screen. Whenever I go to a WWE event, and I'm usually with my dad, I'll catch myself just watching the big screens that they have for like a good portion of the show. And my dad's usually telling me to like look at the ring because we did not pay hundreds of dollars to watch wrestling from big screen when it's happening right there. So I can understand. I wonder if people were frustrated that happened, that they had to watch majority of the show from screen, but it definitely could happen in 2022. I don't think it should happen for Mania, but I think you could do a special event from 3 different venues and it could work.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely like a very interesting thing. I think the idea on its own is very ambitious, but like to execute it is kind of a whole other thing. Because you have I don't know, because one of the cities might not be as good as the other two. And I think that's the case here on this pay-per-view, at least for me. I thought so, but so I don't know. You could be getting your money's worth, or you could be very disappointed because then you're watching a screen for most of it. So more than half of it, you're watching a screen. So yeah, it's definitely I don't know. I wouldn't be happy with it. I don't think.
No, I wouldn't either. And someone else who wasn't happy in the build-up to WrestleMania 2 was Wendy Richter. Did you see that nice little transition there? I'm getting good at this.
I did. That
Let's
was
talk
good. Oh my
about
God.
Thank you. Let's talk about the original screw job. So Vince McMahon did not only screw Bret Hart of his WWF World Heavyweight Championship in 97. We are ways away from WrestleMania 13 in 97. We'll get there soon. We don't even have to wait for a screw job because it happened in the build-up to Mania 2 in 1986. So basically, same situation with Bret Hart. Wendy Richter was the women's champion by this point, and she didn't re-sign with the WWF, but she was still the women's champion. So Vince basically is like, oh shit, we got to get the belt off of her, goddammit. And here comes November of 1985, actually. I misspoke. It was 85, not 86. And it was a house show in Madison Square Garden. Wendy Richter faces a mysterious wrestler by the name of Masked Spider Lady. Great name for a wrestler. And a quick
Yeah.
roll-up gives Spider Lady the win and the title. And who was it underneath that mask but the fabulous Moolah? Dun, dun, dun. Yes, fabulous Moolah double-crossed her, won the title. And the legend goes Wendy Richter got in a cab with her gear on right after that show, headed to an airport, and left wrestling for good until she came back in 2010 to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. I wanted to bring up a topic with you that I was pondering in the build up to this Mania, and that was so we kind of grew up when we were younger in like the early 2010s manias, like when you had, 25, 26, 27, around that area. And watching these first two manias and everything that led up to them kind of got me thinking, do you feel that the women's wrestling in WWF/WWE was almost treated better in these first two manias than it was in the kind of area that we grew up in when we were younger, with the Divas Championship and the battle royals that they would throw on? Because when you look at it, like, the women's matches were usually afterthoughts, not just at WrestleMania, but just in WWE in the late 2000s to the early 2010s. When the first Mania came around, it was a huge rub by Cyndi Lauper being associated with the women, because you could have just had Cyndi Lauper be with, Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper and, done all of that. But they put him with, Wendy Richter, Fabulous Moolah, Leilani Kai. So that automatically brought them up to that main event status. And from what I'm seeing, like, these two manias, there's more of a story, there's more competitive matches, and the women's title is, being put on the line. And I couldn't even tell you one of those 2010s manias where the women's or the Divas championships were defended. So I don't know. What's your take on this? Do you feel like this area is treating the women better than when we were kind of growing up?
I feel like, yeah, because like women's matches was a very gray area. They were targeting a market that was very misogynistic, very objectifying, like especially when I'm thinking like Attitude Era all the way to like, when we were watching early 2000s, stuff like that. So I feel like here they're more treated respectfully as women wrestlers, as competitors, because yeah, it got a little bit little hasty, I won't lie, in the 90s and the 2000s. But yeah, I think I think definitely back then it was treated a lot better than it was in those 2010 sort of storylines, because yeah, it just, they were called divas. It just wasn't like, there wasn't any respect to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm very happy where it is with now as well. And watching these back, I'm like, oh shit, there was actual stuff going on in storyline. I was invested into we'll get into the card later, but the Great Muller match that was presented, I was kind of invested into that after this whole screw job storyline and stuff like that. And I got a question for you. Does that mean Masked Spider Lady's in the Spider-Verse?
I mean, if we want to be technical now, I guess she would. Well, where would she fall into the timeline? Is it between Into the Spider-Verse and No Way Home, or is it in the Tobey Maguire age? Like, when are we talking about this Miss Spider Lady? There's a lot of questions.
That's a question for the comments right there. Comment down below, where do you think Great Muller, aka the Masked Spider Lady, fits into the Spider-Verse? The hard-hitting questions here on Before Our Time, I think.
The hard-hitting. We only ask hard-hitting questions here, definitely. We need a Spider-Man. We need Fabulous Moolah in the Spider-Man outfit as our next shirt, I think.
Yeah.
Spider-Moolah.
Oh my god, that'd be
Spider-Moolah.
So
there you go. That it writes itself. We just make magic on this show. Let's move on. Good little discussion here about the women's wrestling, and I agree, definitely in the age that we are now, it's, they're definitely putting all their effort into building up the women, just as the WWF was building up towards WrestleMania II only a month in advance. So what am I talking about here? Well, Saturday night's main event was kind of this big show that they would do. I don't know how many times they would. I think it's like once a month or a few times a month. I don't know. Tom always talks about it. And this was the show, specifically on March 1st, 1986, where you start to see the build for a lot of these high tier Mania matches. We would see the two main events of Hulk Hogan and King Kong Bundy being hyped up by King Kong Bundy squashing Hulk Hogan after a match with Don Morocco for the World Heavyweight Championship. Bundy got involved, injured Hogan with some body splashes, and now in story, Hogan has injured ribs going into Mania. He was out of action, only appeared in vignettes. And on the other side, Mr. T fought Bob Orton in a boxing match. So this was the first boxing match that Mr. T was a part of in the WWF. Piper would be his second. And Piper actually got involved in this. They both beat down Mr. T, and this would lead to the Mania match itself. So the way I look at it is, and it's something, this is really just caught my eye. This show was March 1st, and WrestleMania happened April 7th. So this was roughly a month of build here for these big matches. And sure, you can make the argument that, Mr. T and Piper had been building ever since the first Mania. And, but more specifically, King Kong Bundy and Hogan, you really hadn't seen any type of build towards this match. I guess Bundy was guaranteed a championship match for beating Special Delivery Jones in quote unquote 9 seconds at the first Mania. I don't know what you want to say there, but when I was thinking about this kind of month-long build, it kind of got me thinking to where AEW is right now. That I think one of the biggest things that a lot of people talk about when they talk about the pay-per-views for AEW is the fact that their builds aren't very long towards the pay-per-view. Like even right now, we're about a month or so towards All Out, and you really only know like 1 or 2 matches that are happening. So what's your take on kind of short builds to big events? Do you feel like every show needs a long, drawn-out build for at least the big matches, or is it okay to have like some shorter builds, especially in this case or AEW's case? What's your take on builds to pay-per-views?
I think you could have a month build, but just make sure you're really dedicating a lot of time weekly to that storyline. You know what I mean? To make it something grand. We see some of the storylines now in AEW and stuff like that being longer. For example, Eddie Kingston and Jericho now, they've been feuding since like Revolution, I think. Even before that, if you will. So they're still going at it. But I don't know, builds can... I don't know, I feel like a month out, you can get a lot done. We saw it with Forbidden Door. There was a good build there, and I think they only had like maybe a month to sort of build that properly, because it was in between like Double or Nothing and stuff like that, so it was kind of confusing. But yeah, I don't know. You can do a build in a month. I feel like it wouldn't be the easiest thing, because I don't know how much you can get sorted and think of in that time. But who knows, man? They did a pretty good job here, I think, at building. Only in a month, so.
No, I do too, for sure. I mean, you mentioned Eddie Kingston being in a long feud. Eddie Kingston, to me, is the king of short feuds. So I feel like this is the perfect example to bring him in. His match with Moxley, his match with CM Punk. So I think it also comes down, in many cases, to the wrestlers themselves. Like if they're able to sell you on a match very quickly, like Eddie Kingston, I think it could definitely work for a short build. Some matches are just built on the names themselves. To me, something like Hogan versus King Kong Bundy, I don't really need a full drawn out story. And even with a month before the pay-per-view, they still give you a good amount of story. All you need to know is King Kong Bundy hurt Hogan's ribs, and this is going to be a factor going into the match. That to me is a pretty good story well in itself. And of course, this is during a time where like you wouldn't necessarily have consistent storytelling week to week on TV. Like you would have these Saturday night main events and you would have sporadic shows, but it wouldn't necessarily be like, Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, Dynamite, where it's every week and you need to fill up that time. So for what they had and what they were working with, I think definitely they, filled that time well. Could you have maybe enhanced the story a little bit with maybe a month or a few more weeks? Sure. But in this case, I think a month was a fine time. Like, you didn't really need too much time to sell the pay-per-view. There's one more thing that I wanted to bring up here. And this is really just a behind-the-scenes fact that I thought was very interesting. So this has to do with one of the commentators of both the first and second WrestleManias, one of my all-time favorite names, Jesse the Body Ventura, with my awful Jesse the Body Ventura impression. So prior to WrestleMania 2, I'm going to blow by this. Ventura gave a speech backstage to the locker room stressing the need to unionize. This is a word that we're starting to hear around this pandemic era of wrestling, back up in wrestling. He basically suggested that the wrestlers sit out of WrestleMania 2 unless a union was negotiated. Ventura would, Vince would find out about Ventura's plea to the roster to sit out Mania and would basically just chew him out and be like, "You're stupid," blah blah blah. After WrestleMania 2, Ventura would leave to shoot the Predator movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. With that, he joined the Screen Actors Guild, which gave him union benefits. So he got his union. He's fine. About a lot of years later, he actually sued the WWF for unpaid royalties that his commentary was used on a lot of different home videos. And when he sued the WWF in court, or however it works, Vince would go on to reveal the man that revealed to Vince that Ventura was giving the speech backstage. And of course, it was the Hulkamaniac himself, Hulk Hogan. So he proved his loyalty to Vince. He ratted out Ventura, and I thought it was so ironic that we would actually see Ventura interviewing Hogan at WrestleMania 2. Just the little cherry on top. I only bring this up because, like I said, the whole unionization is starting to be, brought up again. Everything with Zelina Vega around the 2020, roster cuts and all of that. Any thoughts on this? I thought it was just a little interesting tidbit.
No, it is very interesting. Jesse Ventura wouldn't be one of those people I think of immediately when I think of someone trying to unionize. I think it's really funny that Hogan ratted him out, and then they have that promo here. But yeah, dude, this is interesting. Like you said, I'm a big Jesse the Body Ventura. That's my one. We went tit for tat, I guess.
There we go.
Lord Alfred Hayes said the phrase tit for tat in the main
Did he?
event. So
look at you. You're already starting to pick up on his mannerisms and shit.
They went tit for tat. But yeah, tit's a funny word. Anyway, but yeah, this is a very interesting thing. Yeah, I like this. I don't know what Hogan. I don't know. It ain't gonna work for me, brother. That's all I can say.
It ain't gonna work for me, dude. But yeah, I mean, definitely something to consider. Did you know that Jesse Ventura, has run for president? Did you know that he's like one of the independent parties? I don't know exactly which party he runs for. I want to say it's like the Green Party, but I could be wrong.
I think it is the Greens. It's
something, the body party, if you will. But yes, Jesse Ventura did run for president. And honestly, if he runs again, I might have to vote for him, because after watching WrestleMania 2, he's great. And I would love to have him as my president. Anyways, not knowing anything about his political background. Fuck it. Jesse Ventura.
Fuck it. Get Glenn Jacobs in office while you're at it. No, I'm kidding. Please don't. Stay clear of that. Steer very clear.
Yes, absolutely. But that is our road to WrestleMania. Nick, I think there is only one place left to go after the road to WrestleMania. Do you know where that is?
I don't know. Why you enlighten me?
It is WrestleMania itself. Let's get into the granddaddy of them all.
Boom. Dude, WrestleMania starts. It kicks off with a nice little intro kind of thing saying, what has the world come to? Sorry, what the world has come to. What has the world come to is what I was thinking. Because you got 3 different freaking locations in this shit. But I said good lord in big capital letters. But Ray Charles comes out. That popped me so hard. I'm a big Ray Charles guy.
Nick, I need to ask you. I
Please.
should have asked you this last week, but on a scale of 1 to 5, how patriotic was this national anthem? How much did you just want to say "fuck it," get on a plane, and fly to America and just inject into your veins just patriotic pride from this?
All I wanted to do after watching this was inject some red, white, and blue and some eagle blood back into my veins. Cause man, what the hell happened to my voice? Are you hearing this, young Anthony?
You got that? You got that American in you.
My hand just went to my chest like that. What the hell?
All of a sudden,
on?
I know the words of this national anthem or something.
It wasn't even the national anthem. Was it America the Beautiful or whatever?
America the Yeah, they sing America the Beautiful instead of the national anthem. Honestly, I like America the Beautiful. I think it's very nice.
Me too, but I think they do that in like the later WrestleManias too. They just don't even sing the national anthem.
Yeah,
Fuck it.
never.
America the Beautiful is now the national anthem, I think. I don't know. What do I know? I'm Australian. But dude, this was really funny. I don't know if you caught this, but there was a huge build up with the instrumentals and stuff like that. And right as Ray Charles was starting to sing, there was the loudest mic feedback.
Oh my god!
Existence.
First
it was like
note.
First note. He went, and then it went. It was
like awful.
Dude,
so bad.
And it was such a big build up. It caught me off guard. I started laughing my head off. I was like, what the fuck? But it is followed by a nice, beautiful performance by Ray Charles. And I think, young Anthony, I don't know where. Be the bearer of bad news, but I think I prefer this performance over Mean Gene's.
Really? Wow. Look at you.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very close, but I'm going to have to say I would put this over Mean Gene just because it was just Ray Charles singing and not Mean Gene with, all right, everybody.
Everybody sing. Everybody.
I'll give you that one. I do also, before we move on to the first match, want to call out the first of our 3 commentary teams. And this was Vince McMahon with actress Susan St. James. And oh my God, is Susan St. James just horrendous in this entire Mania?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I took all these celebrity commentators with a grain of salt because what do they know? You know what I mean?
There's one celebrity that I'm actually very much looking forward to because I thought that they did a really good job. But Susan St. James, like, just to give you an example, like even after the New York portion where it was just like McMahon talking with Susan, he's like, all right, what do you think is going to happen for Hogan and Bundy? And Susan's just like, oh, Hogan's going to win. And Vince just gives like the most awkward stare into the camera, like, Hogan might not be able to win because of the ribs. And she's just like, no, Hogan's going to win. And he's, all right, let's send it back to Chicago. He's just horrendous. I needed to call out Susan St. James.
Yeah. I'm glad you did. Because honestly, I didn't pay close attention to it, but I feel like if I did, I would have had an even worse time watching this WrestleMania. So
Absolutely.
I'm kind of glad I
100%.
did. I'm glad I didn't. But I do want to mention this as well. In the national anthem, right as they're finishing the big note at the end, they show a photo of Hulk Hogan. I think that is. Yes. I thought that was so funny. Like, unintentionally.
You
so
literally
funny.
go through every patriotic symbol that you
like a ton of presidents, JFK, an eagle,
like all of these different things, and the last shot is Hulk Hogan with pixelated fireworks in the back. I wish I could find the fucking picture because oh my god, is it so funny that is the last picture. That's like, it reminds me of. I was watching the other day. I don't know how this came up to mind, but it was a tribute to the troops from like 2009. And there was a sign in the crowd that said, we love the U.S. troops and John Cena. So this person puts John Cena on the same level as the U.S. troops. I thought that was just very telling of, Hulk Hogan, John Cena. I would take those guys over our troops who fight for our freedom any day of the week.
Oh, no, John Cena could five-knuckle shuffle them, put him in the STF, do whatever, What's a measly gun going to do when you have the attitude adjustment? That's what I say.
Oh, yeah, a little five-knuckle shuffle? No one's ever kicked out of that.
No, 100%. No, most protected signature in all of wrestling. But that's a shirt right there. Most protected signature. That is hilarious. But I will say, I think Cody now is in that spot. If anything, have American the Beautiful being played, and then freeze frame of Cody.
Put Cody with the pixelated fire. It's got to be the pixelated fireworks. It can't work any other way. What the fuck are we talking? Can we get into this first match now?
Let's do it, dude. So yeah, the first match is Magnificent Don Morocco versus Paul Orndorff, and we saw Paul Orndorff last Mania, and I think it was kind of crazy the sort of different reaction he was getting just a year removed from WrestleMania 1. Obviously, he was on the heel side with Roddy Piper, and now he's getting like some of the loudest cheers of the night, which I noticed, which is really kind of crazy. They started playing just audio of the promos while this match was happening, which I thought was very weird. I don't know if you picked up on that or not, but it was fucking strange. It was weird. Why would you play audio? Like, there's no commentary. Like, they're trying to do commentary in the middle of the promos, and it's just like, okay, this is a little bit. I'm overstimulated, and I'm worrying, and I'm concerned.
Too much going on, man.
Too much happening. But every bit of offense Paul was getting in, the crowd would lose their mind. They love the baby face and they hate the heel. It's classic. But when the match concluded, they rang the bell and everyone was confused about the winner. The crowd was chanting bullshit at the top of their lungs. Fink is being told stuff and he's just shrugging his shoulders like he doesn't know what... He has no clue what the outcome of this match is. He's very confused. They cut to a backstage promo with Mr. T, but they announced the outcome of the match during the backstage promo, and again, overwhelming to say the least. And they announced it as a double count out. Huge, loud boos from the crowd. And they immediately go into the Intercontinental match. But we won't get into that. What do you think of this match here?
I thought it started off really strong. I love the... we got like a different side of Orndorff in this match than we got from the last time. I feel like last time around, Orndorff was more of that like powerhouse. Like he was the strong guy to Roddy Piper's, chicken shit, like get your little cheap shots in. This time around, we got a lot of really cool moves from him. And Don Morocco, I did an episode of Classic Match Classroom on Don Morocco versus Jimmy Snuka. So I knew right going into this that Morocco was really great. So I was excited for this match. Some really technical, really good technical work from both guys. Love the back and forth in the beginning, but it really just fell apart with the whole ending. Yeah. The ending just sucked for me. I love the crowd chanting bullshit because what better way to start off your biggest night of the year than with the crowd just shitting on the entire match. It was very sloppy, I will say. Them announcing the finish like during a promo was just so weird. All of that weird. Taken into consideration, I gave it 1.5 stars, and you did the same. I wish I could have given it a little higher. If there was a definitive finish, then definitely it would have gotten around 2 to 2.5. But like, there's no way to salvage that ending.
Match, greatest match is like fantastic to me. Paul Orndorff, Don Morocco. On paper, this match is going to be good. But yeah, going into it, I was my expectations was a little bit too high, I think, maybe. Because the wrestling they were doing in the ring, the physical stuff they were doing was fantastic. I think it just fell apart, like you said. 1.5. You also gave it 1.5. You want to get into the next match, Anthony?
Let's do it.
Okay, so we got George, the Animal Steel versus Macho Man Randy Savage for the Intercontinental title. Macho Man going into this as the champion. Macho Man getting the first entrance of the night, which I believe happened later into the night in WrestleMania 1. But a heel, I don't know if you like found this interesting as well, but a heel Macho is odd for me to see without having like a lot of prior knowledge of anything of Macho Man apart from the big baby face, we need Mike Belcaster in here to do a little
we need
Macho Man
Belcaster
action.
just to come in and do his impressions whenever we need. Just
Every
do the
wrestler
impressions
to make it more real, make it more authentic. We need Belcaster. We might have to hire you hourly if that's all right. Let me know your charge rate, Mike. But yeah, dude, this was a fun first time seeing George Steele for me. I'm already a fan. He started chasing Macho Man around the ring, and he does this monkey thing with his arm. I don't know if you want to cut back to me real quick, but he does this shit, and I'm like, this guy's an animal, quite literally, and I loved it to
Perfect
bits,
name
dude.
for him.
I don't know about you, but monkeys. I love monkeys. I think they're so funny and so interesting. So when I saw him do that, dude, I'm like, instant pop from me. 5-star
Easily gravitated
classic
towards
match.
George Steele because of your love of monkeys. I feel that. I feel that.
Exactly. But I want to tell you a little fun fact here, Anthony, too. I don't know if you know this, but the Jakks Pacific Toy Company made a classic Superstars wrestling figure of George the Animal Steele with real hair for his chest hair. And Anthony, it is quite disgusting to say the least.
I'm sure that is. I wonder where they got that hair from.
Probably you know how like you can get ring worn gear or like the actual wrestling mat. It'd be funny if they afterwards like found little hairs on the mat and they just picked it up. But dude, this
like
is
piece
so
of canvas that you get in like those cards.
Yeah,
it's like the first 500 figures actually have George Steele's hair. Like, I'm gonna keep this mint on card anyway.
Yeah, dude. But speaking of this, if you don't mind, I would love to pull up a photo and just show you how just gross it is. Look at that. Look how it looks sweaty. It looks
terrifying.
It's look, it's not great. It's not great. But apart from that, George started nibbling on Macho's calf, which I thought was really funny.
That was
great. Started biting random shit. It was great. Macho gets thrown out of the ring, climbs under the ring, surprises George by coming out of the other side. And I have another note here that just says George likes to bite a lot. He does it quite a bit. Macho Man grabs a bouquet and smacks George right in the face with it hard. And what does the animal do? What does George do? Let me guess. He bites the fucker. And he does. George starts eating the turnbuckle. He's a little bit hungry. My wrestling critiquing brain is completely out of the window of this match, and I'm just having like a fun time now. You know what I mean? Like, this guy's ripping apart turnbuckles and eating them. Asbestos is flying everywhere. Like, what's going on here? But eventually, Savage pulls a sneaky pin. Both feet on the rope for leverage, getting the win. Retain the title, and dude, George is so mad. He just starts eating more turnbuckle. I don't know what to tell you here, but
it's like chasing the ref out the ring.
Think of this?
Oh man, I thought this was a fun match. I will definitely give it that. First note right away was Steele just with his wild arms. I thought that was there was a good call by McMahon that he was like, George Steele has a lot of hair on him. Or I think Susan was like, she's got a lot of hair on him. And Vince was like, maybe that's a lot of fur on him. Just, he's sitting there like, do you get it? Because he's an animal. So the joke was that he is an animal, so he has fur on him. Well, I thought that
he goes on to explain the joke for the next 5 minutes.
To explain the joke. It's like during the battle royal, you just hear so what I meant when I said that was like George is the animal, right? Anyway, I love the biting. Like biting his calf was so funny to me. But Savage gets a lot of good offense in this match. I love the flying crossbodies. Of course, the final elbow looked phenomenal. And a little tidbit, I don't know if you caught this, but I love the little moments where George Steele is being distracted by Elizabeth. And you can tell that Elizabeth does not want to be the distraction but Savage is taking advantage of that to, go from around and beat up Steele. I think that's a nice wrinkle in his character, just because, like, Savage is very possessive of Elizabeth, but sometimes, he takes advantage. So I thought that was a nice little storytelling bit here. Another great call that I picked up was from Susan, and I forget what was going on. It was something with Steele and Elizabeth, and her exact words were, "He may not be smart, but he's got respect for women." And I was like, all right. Okay.
That's all you need. That's all you need, honestly. If you have
need.
respect for women, you're good in my books, George
Food,
Steele. You're
water,
good.
and respect for women. If you have those three things, you're set for life.
The 3 genders right there.
Yes, absolutely. Most of my notes were just good offense from Savage. I like the throw into the corner. The ending was okay for me. Just a quick little roll up, but it adds to the heel persona of Savage. I gave it 1.5 stars. You gave it a little bit more, but I think I could understand it just because from all of the sports entertainment aspects of, like, the flowers getting involved and all of the asbestos turnbuckles shit. I could definitely see your rating for sure.
Yeah, the asbestos turnbuckle. I think that's what gave me one icon above your idols, if anything. But thinking back about it, I maybe should have, like, reading back on my notes. I think I might have been, like, in that delirious stage of just sleepiness where I was, like, just enjoying. When you're just super tired, you laugh at everything. That was me in this match. So maybe two out of 5 is more of a generous, fair rating from me. But in the moment, it was 2.5. So I guess I can't bag myself too much for that. So
Hey, look, it's a good rating for a good comedy match. This is like the 80s version of Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn, just without the huge hand and Wee Man slamming Sami Zayn. But
if we had Wee Man, if we had a little person just coming in body slamming George Steele, I would pop.
that would be my first 5-star right then and there. But yeah, both ratings I think definitely deserve for this IC title match. But I think it's time to move on to the next match, don't you think?
Yeah, let's do it. Jake the Snake Roberts versus George Wells. Now Jake, he gets an entrance, but it's with no music. I don't know if on the network or Peacock it's just cut out, but it was weird. He just gets no music. This is my first match watching Jake Roberts. This is my first time watching a lot of these people on this card in action. And so I think they're very good first impressions. Jake gets an entrance with no music. Match starts off hot with some fast offense by Wells, and I just wrote, God, this is good. Jake's selling is so great.
Ooh,
I think
so good.
I don't know if he gets put over for his selling enough, but I think he's definitely up there when it comes to it. But yeah, Jake ultimately gets the win with a DDT. Straight away goes for the snake bag. Jake wrapped his python all over George Wells, and without context, that's a very interesting sentence.
Pause.
Yeah. Look at that.
Look at that.
He's foaming at the. He's foaming at the mouth. Yeah, Jake wrapping the snake around Wells' neck. This match I gave it 3 out of 5 just because I thought the offense was great. The DDT was very clean DDT, and just overall the stuff was great. And I even counted for this with, like, the snake stuff as well. Included into all of it as well. So yeah, that my rating is 3 icons out of 5. So yeah, tell me a bit about this match, Anthony.
Oh, I was very impressed by this match. Like you, I was not. I don't know if Jake Roberts is known for his selling or if that's his big thing. But, like, from this match alone, the rating is really just for his selling. I wanted to give it a higher rating, but I couldn't because I didn't get enough offense from Jake. I would have loved to have seen more of his arsenal. But he puts George Wells over huge, more than he should. I don't know if we ever see George Wells in the WWF after this point. But the fact that Jake Roberts made him look like a complete star for a good, like, 4 minutes really tells you how good Jake is. Bumps for him huge. I got a, Shawn Michaels SummerSlam 2005 bumping for
Dude,
Hulk Hogan
he did
vibes.
that one back bump and he like went into the ropes and shit and just like, hanging
Yeah.
off. I know exactly what the part you're talking about. I found that as well. Dude, funniest shit that Hogan Sean. But that we'll get into that maybe in another
We'll
season
get
before
there
that time because
eventually.
right now, yeah.
No, I mean Roberts just moves so fluently here. There's some even I'll even give George Wells some props. Like he gets some good offense and really clean power slam. But I like the little story in that it was just one mistake that cost him the match. Um,
Mhm.
just the little eye flick that it just turned into the DDT. Um, it left me wanting more though, and I guess that's the point because a little fun fact. I'll hit you with a fun fact this time around, and it doesn't include a hairy action figure. Jake Roberts actually didn't debut on WWF television until 3 weeks before this show. So he was undefeated going into the show. And I guess they were still kind of hyping this, the fact that he was kind of unknown, creepy. I kind of think that's why he doesn't have any theme music because he's just coming in
Yeah.
like no one really knows a lot about him. So I like this ominous presence that he has to him. But it did leave me wanting to see more of Jake Roberts. And we will see more Jake Roberts matches at WrestleMania in the future. I think he actually has one at WrestleMania 3, which I'm looking forward to seeing. But this time around, I thought the selling alone gives this a good 2 idols for me. So I went with 2.
Yeah, yeah, I went with 3 here exactly. Like, I feel like we could have easily seen more from Jake, but I was kind of happy with like what we did see. Like the selling was fantastic.
Oh,
The
yeah.
whole stuff with the snake, I could tell from this match that he was fairly new to this audience. Like you said, 3 weeks prior he debuted, and so yeah, I thought this was a great sort of showing, putting such a new character on WrestleMania on the biggest show of the year for them. Well, a lot of trust in Jake Roberts, and he took the ball and ran with it, and so yeah, I gave this 3 out of 5. One of my more higher rated matches, which I
Yeah,
found
well
was quite
deserved though. I
interesting.
think Jake definitely. There were some matches that just because of one person alone made me consider them for Mr. Mania. And honestly, Jake was in that running just because of how impressed I was that this was my first showing of Jake Roberts, and he really put everything to make George Wells look like the star that he isn't, for lack of a better term. But yeah, I thought this was a good show, and everything after the match, like the foaming from the mouth, that also added to the rating. Just the whole presence to him. I want to see more of Jake. I guess that's the point of a match like this, is to want you to see more of him. Uh, but yeah, so I want to see more of Jake, but I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want to see this next match coming up. And it is the first of our 3 main events. We are in New York. I should say I'm actually in New York currently. And this is the first of our 3 main events.
Roddy Piper versus Mr. T.
Oh baby, yeah, this is the first of 3 main events. How does that make any sense? But Joan Rivers announces the main event, and stuff like that, and we get like a lot of guest celebrities. I couldn't name them all. I was typing them all, and I was like, there's like at least 30 celebrities around the ring being the timekeeper, doing all this stuff. So, but did you catch all the names of the celebrities by chance?
I did. I have Joan Rivers as the special guest announcer. The judges were Daryl Dawkins, Cab Calloway, and G. Gordon Liddy. And oh my God,
The
I
reaction
gotta
for G.
mention
Gordon
him.
Liddy. Did you?
That yes, there was a good reaction for it. But literally the best moment of the night so far. The timekeeper, Herb. Did you catch Herb coming
Yes.
in? He comes in,
Yes.
hugs Joan Rivers. I don't know, does like a little photo op, and he walks out, does a little dance, and leaves the ring. I'm all for Herb, man.
I'm
Put the
sold.
title on
Mr.
this guy.
Mr. Mania is Herb right
Mr.
there.
Mania
Spoiler
is
alert.
Herb. I don't know what he does or who he is, but Herb, I gotta see you at WrestleMania 3, man, because we need more of these little ditties that you do. But yes, that was my that's what I caught from this little opening. This was the best part of this match. But continue on with your analysis.
Yeah, this was a 10-round boxing match, and I only just recently got more into boxing as of late, so I'm kind of into this idea, right? I'm kind of into it. But it felt like they were rushing the entrances. Like, I don't know, like Roddy Piper and his gang was coming out with Bob Orton and his coach and stuff like that, and it was just like they were announcing like other people while that was happening, and then Mr. T was coming out. They were announcing other people while Mr. T was going to the ring, and then they eventually got to it. It was very like, it felt very rushed.
I think part of that was actually because they only had 1 hour per venue. So like New York only had an hour, Chicago only had an hour. So maybe they were like cutting close on time. They were kind of just like, get out there, get the match over with. That's all I can think about. But yeah, it was very rushed. I caught that. Joan Rivers was like announcing other people while Roddy Piper was coming out. I thought it was weird.
Yeah. I actually have written here each location gets an hour of this pay-per-view, which I gathered from this. I felt that was really interesting, so they weren't cutting like one match here at one location and then next match at Chicago, next match LA. You know what I mean? I feel like that could have been that might have been better to just like, I don't know, just give people some sort of action while they're waiting instead of waiting in a whole hour with the screen. You know what I mean? Maybe that could have worked, but I don't know. They did it this way, so maybe they thought it would work this way. But
Vince is always right. Come on now.
Yeah, exactly. When has Vince ever been wrong? He respects women, right? Right?
Yeah, totally.
But this seemed at the start seemed like a shoot boxing fight. Roddy was actually landing some jabs. So was Mr. T, and I was surprised with it all. Mr. T was ducking and dodging like nobody's business. Piper, I thought, which was cool, is Piper was doing heel tactics in a boxing fight, which I thought was really interesting. He's so like versatile. He can do that in a wrestling match. He can do that into a boxing match, which I thought was cool. He's punching on breaks, landing in some good punches as well. And with a minute left in round 2, Piper knocks down Mr. T and gets up at 8. But I wrote it feels weird because wrestling is already a fake, quote unquote, sport. So when you try and fake a proper sport, it felt really strange. I don't know. Do you kind of feel that as well?
I wrote in my notes, this feels like it's a satire on boxing almost, because there were so many like moments that, it definitely felt like a boxing match. I'll give them that. But it also felt like they were kind of, entertainizing it, if that's a word. It is now. Doing like and we'll get to it, the spots of like throwing the water and Piper fighting in between the breaks and throwing the furniture around. So I think it was definitely like almost a spoof on boxing. Maybe this was Vince kind of saying, we make movies, pal. We don't do real sports around here. So I definitely caught that though.
Yeah. And another thing I caught as well, the round card girl only appears for the 4th round.
Yes. And she got a pop for that.
She got a pop, yeah. Piper knocks out the ref and body slams Mr. T for some ungodly reason. They sound off the bell, chaos ensues. Mr. T wins via a DQ by Piper. Overall, I gave this, I don't know, I think I was a little bit like easy on this match. I maybe should have rated it harsher. Seeing your rating, sorry, this match makes me gassy. I don't know if you're the same way, but it's maybe queasy. Yeah, not in the good way. I don't know if queasy isn't a good way in general. I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking out my ass here, but
you're talking out of your.
I don't know. I gave this. That's it.
Talking out of your stomach, if you will. Continue. Yeah.
Out of my stomach, out of my my hairy fur chest, if you will. But I was like, whenever I give rating, I always try and think of out of 10 because that's just how I rate stuff, like in general. So I was like, 4 out of 10 seems sort of fair. It's below average, but it wasn't the worst. You know what I mean? It's below halfway, but it wasn't the worst thing I've seen. and that might be a different scenario for you, Anthony. Run me through this.
Can I run you through the notes that I wrote for this, because this will just give you an idea of my play-by-play on this. So here are my notes, very quick. The nose-to-nose was cool. Mr. T body punches, LOL. They look so awful. This is bad. Couldn't they have just done a regular match? Piper has grease on him. This is reminding me of why I hate boxing. Mr. T sells pretty good. Bob Orton throwing the water, being a complete shitter, was funny. This is so bad. I hope Herb is enjoying this. T completely misses on the big shot out of the ring. The crowd does not care. Everything other than the boxing is fun. He knocks the mouthpiece out of Mr. T knocks his mouthpiece out, and the referee just throws it out of the ring. This sucked. Half a star. Those were my notes for this match. I think it gives you a pretty good idea. I only gave this half a star because Piper and Bob Orton were able to make this as entertaining as possible. The big punch to Mr. T popped me. The big punch to Piper did not land. And the body slam made no sense. Whole mishmash. Hated this.
You might want to watch what you say.
Oh shit, he's got the figure out. I pity the fool who doesn't buy my action figure.
I pity the fool who gives this match half an idol, because honestly, it makes sense. Like, I really hope Herb was enjoying this. You bring a good point to it. I really hope he was getting the most out of this match. I hope Herb enjoyed this whole Mania. Let's be honest.
Me too.
But we always have these side characters in these Manias. Last year or last Mania was Lord Alfred Hayes. He's still very vibrant in here. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, he's still here. We'll get to Hazy Boy in a minute.
We'll get to Hazy Boy, but yeah, maybe I should have been harsher with this. You bring a lot of good points. That's why I like doing this, because we can hear each other's stances on this, and it can change my mind on a lot of things. I'm very open. I'm very easily influenced, if you will. So,
well,
maybe
look,
I
you
was
just
a
mentioned
little
it,
bit
like
too
you're
generous.
starting to get into boxing, like you said. Yeah. So, like you kind of relate to that, and also you're kind of seeing more of the entertainment side and like the whole package, where I'm more like zoning in on the actual in-ring stuff. And I think that good balance gives the viewer or the listener a really good idea of like both ways that you can look at this. And if you rate it like half a star or you rate it either way, exactly, like you really can't go wrong on these ratings. So I can see your 2 stars. It's just I would rather not see 2 stars. And 2 idol, 1.5 half an idol for me is perfectly.
What would your reaction be if I gave this 5 icons?
Oh, I would literally never forgive you for this. If this was
your
first,
would this be a photo of us?
Yes, this would be us, and I would probably be Mr. T in this. But if this was your first 5 icon match, I don't know. We might have to just cancel the show altogether.
If this was my first 5 icon match, I would cancel the show. I would be like, look, I'm done. I don't know what's gotten into me lately, but would you like to move on?
I would love to move on, Nick. Let's get into the women's championship match.
Yes, the women's championship match. Now, before we get into this, Gorilla Monsoon and Mean Gene welcomes us to Chicago. Welcome to the Chicago portion of
I didn't have a picture of this commentary team, unfortunately, but yes, Gorilla and Mean Gene are on the call with another celebrity who I did not catch their name.
Me neither. She was blonde. I don't know. She got a
Kathy
boo
Lee
reaction.
Crosby. I did catch the name. Kathy Lee Crosby.
She got a boo from the crowd, so that's all you need to tell, which is really funny. But I wrote here in capital letters, did someone say Football League? And we'll get into more of that in a little bit. Because goddamn, what's happening here? Anyway, so we had Velvet McIntyre versus Fabulous Muller for the championship, the ladies' championship, I believe they were calling it. I wrote here some good offense by Muller at the start of the match, but the match must have been a minute long. The crowd is so loud with boos. That was for after the match, my bad. But honestly, if the crowd was matched with boos here, I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, I gave this 1. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen, but Anthony, it was the worst thing you've ever seen. Let's get into that.
Oh yes, Velvet McIntyre, of course. I guess filling in for the role of Wendy Richter after she got on a plane and left wrestling in general. I wonder if when Wendy Richter got on that flight after the screw job, if Cyndi Lauper was also on that flight, and if by chance that flight was going to Puerto Rico, and maybe Wendy Richter was going to be in another music video. It's just things that you have to think about when you're considering these little details.
The
But
Lou Albano effect. What can I say?
exactly, we get Lou Albano in the show too in a little bit. More on that later. Look, but Velvet McIntyre wrestling with no shoes. By the way, I think I should address that.
Riddle, eat
Velvet
your heart out.
Yes. Velvet McIntyre. I wonder if she is related to Drew McIntyre because this match was out of time. So I wanted to say goodbye. What was hers now is mine. And I dream broken dreams. The joke really didn't work because what is yours now is Moolah's. It wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to make a Drew McIntyre joke. Fuck all.
It landed.
Also,
Look, I just want to let you know it landed. That gets
thank
5
you.
icons. My first 5 icons is going to be that joke. How about that?
Thank you very much. You know what definitely landed? The crazy, fabulous Moolah flips. The little, like, when she just fucking grabbed Velvet and just
Dude, grab their
threw her-
hair and just fucking.
Dude, like she did it
Yeah.
like 5 times. I was like, holy shit, Moolah, let's calm
They
down.
looked pretty great too, right?
They looked very good. I was about to
surprised.
give half a star just for those flips alone. And then the finish happened. So I literally wrote in my notes, no fucking way that this was the finish. I don't know if the referee was at fault because Velvet obviously had her foot on the rope. If this was maybe a play into the whole screw job thing with Moolah, screwing over Velvet. I don't know what this was. But ultimately, it led to like a minute match. I thought Velvet looked cool. There was some nice energy right off the bat, and it led to another screwy finish. And one last detail before we move. Well, I guess you can give some of your thoughts on it. They announced the weights of the competitors, and I thought that was very bizarre. You never hear them announce the weights of women's wrestlers. TMI to this announcer. I don't know who was doing the intros here, but TMI, dude, TMI.
Yeah. Well, I can't. I've got the metric system or whatever we use over here. We use kilograms. So whenever someone says this amount of pounds, immediately goes over my head. I'm like, how many kilos is that? Tell me right now. But
Let me do a conversion.
Yeah. I have to look this up to get conversions and stuff. It's not even just planted in my brain. I blame Australia for that. But
I hear you.
But yeah, let's move on. I gave it 1 icon. You gave it a dud. Let's not spend too much time on this fucking
and
shit.
There's the picture, probably before Moolah gave McIntyre one of those just insane flips. But actually, I don't know if I want to move on to this match because we go from one dud to another with Corporal Kirshner versus Nikolai Volkov in a flag match. Nick, do you want to take this one?
Don't want to, but I will. You know what? I don't even want. I will, because I love this show and I love the viewers and I love you guys watching. I will.
Dedicated to the grind.
I'm dedicated to the grind. I wouldn't out of my own heart. All I'm saying. But the crowd is so loud with boos, and I wrote the crowd is so loud with boos, and why I said it in the Muller and the Velvet match because I got confused because it was happening as other stuff was happening. People were just booing because Nikolai Volkov was coming down to the ring with a USSR flag, and what it was funny as well, I thought his name was Nikolai Volkov with a V. Because of Kozlov, or you know what I mean, like Vladimir Kozlov, if you remember that guy.
I do remember.
Sorry, that was new. And then I looked up Nikolai Volkov. He's not even Russian. He's a Croatian. Yep. My family is Croatian. So I found it really funny that he was and when he's singing the Soviet national anthem, I just know he's making shit up. He's mumbling. He's doing all this stuff. Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, insane amount of booze for this. I thought it was a really interesting thing, a flag match. Fucking what the hell? This is the classic USA babyface versus the foreign heel. Um, and eventually Blassie throws the cane in the ring for Volkov to use as the ref is down. Kirshner catches it and whacks Nikolai and gets the win in only a few minutes. And so yeah, crowd's going crazy for this fucking ballistic, if I can say that. Pandemonium.
Pandemonium. I thought this match sucked, but I will say that I thought the ending was nice. The catch, catching the I thought it was nice.
I didn't expect it. I didn't because what we learned from last Mania, Freddie Blassie throws it, the heels catch it, and then but it was kind of a nice for a babyface to do it. I didn't expect it.
I thought it was a good little twist that the babyface caught it this time around, but I got the wrong impression originally because I thought this was a face turn by Freddie Blassie because he was not aiming that cane for Volkov whatsoever. That shit was going to Kirshner if it was a fucking curveball right to it was going to Corporal Kirshner regardless. So I thought he was throwing it right to the USA guy. I will also call out the first move of the match, a spinning kick by Volkov, which I thought was so dope because this guy is 313 pounds. And the first move out the gate is a fucking heel spin type deal. I thought it was phenomenal. I thought Kirshner bleeding looked cool. There was a nice inclusion of blood throughout this pay-per-view, which I think definitely added to some of the matches. And last little note, to whoever does the edits for the WWE Network or Peacock, please, for the love of God, please change Corporal Kirshner's theme song because I know you had to change it due to copyright, but it is the worst theme song that you could ever associate with a wrestler. Very patriotic, but it's like too patriotic. I wonder what his theme song was. I actually found out from last week, Junkyard Dogs was Another One Bites the Dust by Queen. That was his yes, okay. So that was his theme song. So I'm going to find out for next week what Corporal Kirshner's theme song was, or should I? Because this match was abysmal. But yes, I gave it a dud. 2 duds in a row, a half a star before that. We're gonna need something to save this show because the Chicago portion is just it's going downhill quick, Nick.
Yeah. I gave this 1.5 icon. We need something to save the show. This next match definitely fucking did not. Oh my god,
or
20 man. Or did it? Okay, 20-man battle royal with NFL guys and WWF guys. I gave this instantly a dud, and I'll tell you why. So, I feel like it's already super niche to get into wrestlers from the 80s, but it's even more confusing and niche not knowing like the footballers from the 80s because they have seasons and stuff like that. Some people aren't around for a long time, and especially if it's someone from like not from America who aren't familiar with maybe the bigger names. I just had no fucking idea what was going on. I was completely going in blind. At least with wrestling, you can tell like the good guys and the bad guys because they actually have character. But like these were just regular people. So I thought that was really funny. I've noticed there's already such a step up when it comes to talent from this Mania compared to last year's Mania. We had the Killer Bees. We had Macho Man. We have a lot of people in this Mania that weren't in the previous Mania that I thought I don't know, the cool star-studded talent, and a lot of I guess household names today are in this Mania, so I thought that was really nice. But man, William Perry, whoever you are over as hell. I don't know what the refrigerator. I don't know what's happening. They announced him. He came out, dude, loud as pop. I think because he was on the Chicago Bears or something like that. I don't know. Maybe some Chicago crowd. And I have one more note for this. And I said, did I hear referee Dick Buttkiss? Did I hear that right?
Yes, you did.
Dick Buttkiss. That is unfortunate. That is a really unfortunate
name. That is a name, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Oh my god, Dick Buttkiss. What a Like,
I'm delivering my
did the
first dud here,
parents
man.
just sit in the
I want to
delivery
know.
room and was like,
Yeah.
it'd be funny. Let's call him Dig.
It's like, it'd be even funnier if their last name wasn't Butt Kiss already, and they changed it just for the baby to have Dick Butt Kiss. That's the biggest prank, biggest troll ever.
Just fucking. Oh my god, what a name. Let's get into this little analysis of this. So I actually did just look it up, and the Chicago Bears won the Super Bowl this year. So they won against the New England Patriots 46-10, fucking murdered them in the 20th Super Bowl. So William Perry is involved in the Chicago Bears, so I could see the connection and why he got a loud pop. Did you know William Perry is actually in the Hall of Fame because of this appearance?
Oh, good, dude. The pop alone, I would hope so. That's amazing.
I would give it to him. And the little interaction with Big John Studd, I like this. So, did you catch the old lady at the beginning with the microphone? The timekeeper?
Yeah.
Of
course I did.
So that's the. Do you know who that is? Do you know what commercial that's from?
Was that? Oh, that's Where's the Beef or whatever, right?
Where's the Beef? So this poor old lady who was famous off of the Where's the Beef.
That was like a crossover and a half. That was Avengers Endgame to me. I was like, the fuck is happening? Like, you got the Where's the Beef lady coming in, all of it, dude. When I say star-studded talent on this Mania, there we go. That's who I mean. Where's the beef?
I want to give the if you haven't seen WrestleMania yet, I want to give you an exact word for word picture of what happened when they announced the Where's the Beef lady. Just watch the screen. If you were just listening right now, just turn to the screen and look at what I'm about to do. This is what happens. They announce the Where's the Beef lady, and then she does this. And that's all that happened. That her mic wasn't on. She's asking, do I say it now? Fucking hilarious. I don't know. She's rivaling her. We might get a Mrs. Mania on this one because, oh my god, just magnificent stuff. I wrote all the names of the participants in this match. I'm not going to say them because who gives a fuck? We have Ernie Ladd on the call. There's actually a really nice statistic by Mean Gene. There is over 5,612 pounds in the ring, which I thought was we need that little cool sound effect of Vince when he's like, there's a lot of beef in this ring. There's a lot of beef. But 5,000 pounds, man. That's a lot of meat in the ring. I like seeing Big John Studd and Andre going at it. A little callback to last year's Mania. It is very hard to follow this match, as you mentioned, but it's fun. I think there's a lot of moving parts of this match. You can't really follow a certain... I like how they are starting to do battle royals, or at least in the modern era, how they're starting to change up the battle royals in that it's more of like a spot kind of thing. Like everyone has their moments. And like, I know people kind of frown upon battle royals because of that, where it's like, oh, you do your moment and then you get thrown out. But it makes it so much easier to follow. Whereas when you're watching something like this, like there's a million different stories happening at the same time. So it's hard to follow everything. But with how they're doing it now, it's kind of like, okay, Omos is battling R-Truth in the middle of the ring. At least I can follow that. Something I was following that I want to call out. I'm not going to mention all 20 of the names, but I will mention one. The Golden Boy, Dan Spivey. Now, there's two ways to watch this match. The first way is just to enjoy it. Just enjoy all of the chaos happening. The second way of watching this match is just following Golden Boy, Dan Spivey, because this man, for half of the match, has no idea what he's doing. He is literally standing in the middle of the ring for half of the match, just looking around, seeing where to go. They're like William refrigerators in front of him, just stares at him. like Bret Hart and Jim Anvil Neidhart are like teaming up on somebody, just stares at him. Dan Spivey fucking shrivels when it comes to the big moments. On the when the lights are brightest, Dan Spivey just folds like an accordion. I also want to say Dan Spivey and Andre just had the same exact gear on with the bright yellow trunks. Did you catch that? Same trunks. Like there's a picture of Andre just in those. I would love to imagine the conversation backstage with Andre and Dan Spivey.
Are you kidding me, Bubba? Are you kidding?
Andre's like, well, one of us has to change. But no, both of them wore the yellow tights. I'm going too long on this match. Honestly, when it comes down to it, I love the inclusion of William Perry, as you mentioned. Him and Big John Studd going at it was fun. And then I really liked the Andre versus the Hart Foundation. I think this worked so much better than the first WrestleMania match with Andre, because now you have two guys who are, much lighter and younger than Andre, so they can move around a lot and make Andre look really good with selling and, double teaming on him. And a big boot to Bret, perfect example of that, made him look great. One last thing I want to mention before we can move on. Did you catch in the intros for Russ Francis that Mean Gene mentions that Russ Francis is wearing the shoes of his father? Did you catch that at all?
I did, yeah.
I just thought it was hysterical that Russ Francis was like the last guy from the NFL pool in that match, and Hart Foundation just fucking chucks him out of the ring like, fuck your dad's shoes, don't care. And you would think in an NFL versus WWF Battle Royal that an NFL guy would make it to the end, but nope, just tosses them all out. I thought it was a fun match. I gave it 1.5 idols. You gave it a dud. Again, I can see it from both sides.
Yeah, it's my first time delivering a dud, man. I felt like this was very warranted, at least from my experience watching this. I was like I said, it's very niche for one season of football, right? To know these people, especially as an outsider, as an Australian, I have no clue who any of these people are. I like William Perry now. I think just because of the pop he got alone, I think it was
my
funny.
favorite football player, William Perry.
Yeah, dude. If anyone's asked me my favorite footballer, dude, William Perry, I've got it on lock. And then they'll be like, "Wow, you're a historian," and I'd be like, "What can I say? Yeah, watch Before Our Time on Friday at 9 p.m. EST." But yeah, I don't know. Delivering my first dud. This felt, I don't know, I just was not enjoying this at all. Like you said, there was chaos going in the ring. Very hard to follow sometimes. But yeah, Andre wins the Battle Royal in making it the Andre the Giant Battle Royal Memorial, I guess. This is where it came from, right?
I guess this is where it comes from. Just throwing out some NFL players, and now you get a trophy.
Boom, there we go. Yeah, and do you want to move on? Would you like to move on?
I would like to move on. After your first dud, I'm very proud that you have finally delivered your first dud. I think I'm on my fourth dud now. But look, it's always, the first one is always the most powerful. So I hope you enjoy this first dud. But I can tell you what's not going to be a dud, and that is the main event for the Chicago portion of this show. And it's a tag team match for the World Tag Team titles.
The following contest is for the WWF World Tag Team Championships.
Oh baby, yeah. I'm loving those icons. I'm loving those idols. This was the British Bulldogs versus Brutus Beefcake and Greg Valentine. Man, this was such a great match. This was for the tag titles. The Dream Team coming in as the champions here, Beefcake and Valentine. I gave this a 4 out of 5. This was beautiful. This is my highest rated match that we've done out of WrestleMania 1 and 2. This is my highest rated, and for good goddamn reason. Ozzy Osbourne is seen accompanying the Bulldogs to the ring, which was nice. Some great wrestling in this match, just straight up great wrestling. I'm already thinking this is going to be the match of the night for me. This is my first time watching, I don't know about you, but Dynamite Kid and British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith in the ring actually working. And I've heard Dynamite Kid, I've heard everything about Dynamite Kid. I know he's got a very kind of a good following nowadays, especially. And I'm seeing why that is. This is fantastic. But yeah, British Bulldogs pick up the win and the tag titles in a masterpiece, absolute art in this match. Anthony, run me through this, man. Talk to me about it.
Oh my gosh, this was such a good match. Finally, we get a match that is, I think this was also my highest rated match so far in both of these Manias. The first time that it finally hit a 4-star match, and well deserved. Definitely, I toyed around with a 3.5 to a 4, but I was like, these guys put on such a clinic. There was fast-paced action, very fluent. Both teams were working so well together. This, to me, was such a better look for both Greg Valentine and Brutus Beefcake than last Mania. I think when you separate them, a little slow, didn't really work out. Putting these guys together, you had the just excellent work from Greg Valentine of selling a lot of the offense from Bulldog and Dynamite Kid, and you throw in Brutus in the mix of things, and these two connected really well. And man, like British Bulldog, a lot of B's in this match. British Bulldog, his offense is just so explosive, tossing guys over his head, and so much just.
Dude,
he has a really
he picked up Dynamite Kid and just pressed him, straight. And the physique on both of those guys is absolute chiseled Statue of David type shit, but even more jacked, if you will. The buff Statue of David's, and we have him here in this match. And I was the strength as well is insane.
And the ending, I want to call out. I thought it was. I didn't catch it at first. I had to go back and watch it again, but Dynamite Kid basically does a sacrifice spot, and he gets up on the apron, or he gets up on the turnbuckle rather, and starts hitting his head. And British Bulldog grabs Greg Valentine and bashes Greg Valentine into Dynamite Kid's head. And they didn't catch it on camera, but Dynamite Kid falls off the apron and hits hard on the floor. It was a huge tumble. And of course, that would lead to, Bulldog picking up the win. I thought that was just a nice little story moment, really showing the connection between those two as a team. And Ozzy Osbourne was out there as well. That we need to call out.
He's having such a great time.
He's having such a good time. His promo at the end, I forget what the question was, but he just throws out a British Bulldogs forever. And another question was do you think you're going to be sticking with the British Bulldogs for a while? Is this going to be your new gig? And he's just yeah. And that's it. That's all he's Sharon! Did you ever see the reality show of the Osbournes? Ozzy and Sharon and all them?
I've seen clips of it. I've never watched full episodes. But, dude, Ozzy Osbourne is a fucking character.
It's a trip. Oh my god, you gotta watch that.
Have you seen the one where it's who's been in my room stealing my beers from my room? Have you seen that clip? The best thing ever.
Looks like he just got out of bed. Oh my god.
And Sharon was you're the beer thief. It was great.
It's you're the beer thief.
It's so funny. But yes, this match was so good. Definitely worth the 4 stars. And if you haven't checked out Mania yet, and you only want to watch one match, I would suggest to watch this one because it was very, very good. But Nick, I think it's time to move on to Los Angeles, our third and final city. And it's time with the first match of this little portion of the show.
Yeah, and we are greeted to Los Angeles by His Lordship.
Oh yes, before we even get in.
Sir Alfred Hayes.
Holy shit,
oh my god!
On you. Look at you.
Sorry. I think I blacked out for a second. Oh my god! But dude,
hey, look, for
there's
Lord Hayes, it's worth it.
It is very, very worth it. His lordship is here. I just have that in capital letters with exclamation marks. I'm popping, dude. This was, I don't know, it was kind of very hard for me to get into this pay-per-view. That British Bulldogs match was fantastic, but like overall, I just was not enjoying this pay-per-view. So my face lit up when I saw Lord Alfred Hayes. My face actually lit up. I don't know what happened, but there was an interview by Jesse Ventura with Elvira and Alfred Hayes. I like that Elvira's in complete character and everything. But yeah, we go into Hercules Hernandez. Wait, I just want to talk. Do you have anything to say about Sir Alfred Hayes and how he's looking? He's looking kind of spiffy this Mania.
Oh man. Okay, let me say right now. Last episode, we were kind of joking around about Lord Alfred Hayes, and we were saying how, bad he is and whatever. Dude, Lord Alfred killed it on this Mania. I won't even lie. He brought the energy, like, especially to this match that we're about to talk about. He was selling that show. Maybe commentary is the spot for him and not, awkward interviews at the top of the ramp.
Thank you, Gene.
But, thank you, Gene. Yes. I loved Alfred Hayes in this spot, and he can, and Elvira too. Like, the celebrities really didn't impress me much. Like, they were kind of just there, to take the paycheck. But like, Elvira was like good. Like, she was connecting with Jesse Ventura.
She was the one of the commentator celebrities that like I was actually paying attention to and listening to because they're all going over my head.
The best out of ring celebrity that we've seen so far. Like, on commentary, I think she really, she took the role seriously, which I like a lot.
Yeah, 100%. Let's get into this match, though. Hercules Hernandez versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I gave this 2.5 icons out of 5. Ricky is looking a lot leaner here than he did last year at WrestleMania 1. He was looking jacked. He was looking bulky. And also, I wrote here, Alfred on commentary, capital letters. I'm loving life right now. This is the highlight of this Mania for me so far. Right after that British Bulldogs match, this is the highlight. That's really funny for me. I wrote, dude, oh my god, I was in a world of pain last night. I was at such a low point watching this. I was tired, fatigued, sleepy, exhausted. I was wanting to sleep, and then I see his lordship. So there we go. That's telling you how much Alfred Hayes means to me in this Mania. But dude, great wrestling here by Steamboat. Some beautiful leapfrogs. Eventually, Ricky, wins via pinfall. And yeah, this is a great match. I thought this was really good.
Dude, this match was so good. I think this is one of the only matches so far that I've rated higher than you. Usually, you rate them higher than me, or like we get them equal. But like this time around, I had to rate this as high as I did. Let me tell you something. I know we didn't really get it in the other portions of the show so far, but in Los Angeles, they got that bell going. They started getting that bell going a little bit. I could hear it here too. I thought we left that maybe, but alas, bell traveled to Los Angeles. Viva Los Angeles!
Viva Los Angeles!
Oh my gosh, I got to talk about this match for a little bit because I thought this was such a good performance from Ricky Steamboat. Let me just call out, no back suplexes from Ricky here. Maybe the back suplex city does not stay for him. First note I wrote down, Lord fucking Al on the call. Great to see him. Steamboat's arm drags, so fluent. Just the little things that he does just makes it look so clean. This is a fun match. Right from early on, it was fun. Steamboat is just on fire throughout this match, and they tell a really good story of power versus speed. Steamboat takes a lot of the offense early on, really showcasing his athletic ability. But then Hercules, being the big jacked up muscle guy that he is, he starts turning the tide, gives a lot of power moves. But then the turning point in the match for him was going to the top rope, because obviously power guys don't really go up to the top rope. So he risks it all, goes up top, doesn't pay off, and Ricky hits the big crossbody. to get the win. Pacing was superb. Offense was solid. Loved the match.
Yeah.
And I thought just the storytelling added so much to it. And this was a really good showcase for Ricky Steamboat. For me, this definitely tops his performance from last Mania that I wasn't too happy with the Matt Bourne match. Thought he looked good, but I wish we would have seen a better match. This was the match I was happy to see. Had to give it 3 idols.
Yeah, 100%, dude. I agree with everything you said here. I maybe should have given this 3. I was teetering with like 2.5 and 3. Eventually, I went with 2.5, dude. This was great, man. Yeah, big fan of Ricky Steamboat. But let's move on to the next bout, which was an interesting one to say the least. I'm loving these scores that we have here. What the fuck? So we have adorable Adrian Adonis versus Uncle Elmer, aka Super Mario. And Uncle Elmer's music is so goddamn loud when he's coming to the ring. I think it might have been something else, and then copyright. Maybe they added the music afterwards in post.
Yeah.
It was so loud. If it wasn't,
and it just kept
added
going.
In post, it was, yeah. It was intense banjo music, and it was so loud. Adrian is an overly flamboyant character, kind of dresses in drag, and the crowd just hates it. Crowd despises the fucking...
Yep.
It's super homophobic. It's just very bad.
Yes.
Don't try and do this nowadays. A lot of people will
definitely
get
do
canceled.
not
I didn't
want to bring
want to
this
see
back.
this. No, this was a good contender for a dud as well. I don't know why he gave it a half. Maybe I was a little bit lenient towards Super Mario. I love the franchise. But Adonis is just falling out of the ring every second. And I wrote, Lord, this sucks in capital letters. And for some fucking reason, Adrian Adonis wins by a diving headbutt / frog splash thing. Good Lord. I just didn't have it. I just don't have a lot of stuff to say that's good about this. Look at that, dude. I think Elvira says on commentary, I don't trust a man wearing pink. What the fuck? What the hell has pink ever done to you, Elvira? Please.
I think she said I don't trust a man wearing pink leg warmers. Meanwhile,
That's it, yeah.
He is wearing purple leg warmers, but doesn't matter. I don't have much to say on this match either. I actually really liked the him running out of the ring. Keeps getting in, running out. He scurried away.
It was funny.
Him and Jimmy Hart hugged. I thought that was just really funny. Adonis also with that HBK selling because bumping like a madman for Uncle Elmer.
Yeah.
And that was really it because the match was quick. I gave it half a point because of the good showing from Adonis. Got some good heat. And I must say, Uncle Elmer has a bright future in this business. I can definitely see him being the guy to dethrone Roman Reigns if it's not Brock. Half an idol for me.
Half an idol, half an icon, and there we go. Let's just move on because we got a good little match here.
Before we move on to the next match, we haven't really called out a lot of the promos that we got throughout the show. We had a really good Savage promo. There was a nice sit-down promo with Piper after his boxing match. But I do want to mention that if you are looking for a good time, go ahead and turn on the promo after the adorable Adonis versus Uncle Elmer match because you get Hulk Hogan and the man himself, Lord Alfred Hayes, in the same room, and Hulk calls him Awful Alfred, and I think
dude, that made him a heel in my eyes. I was going into this main event, I was like, Hogan, why the fuck would you call him Awful Alfred? He's done nothing but good for this business. Okay, so nothing
except
but good
for
for my eyes.
WrestleMania 1, but that's besides.
I
was rooting for Bundy up, and once I heard the word awful and Alfred in the same sentence, Bundy was my guy right from the start.
I wrote here, Hogan calls him Awful Alfred. How dare he? So I'm glad we're on the same page.
Let's move on to this next tag team match. It's so weird seeing Terry Funk on a WrestleMania. I know he would we see him later on. He makes an appearance at a WrestleMania, but seeing Terry Funk himself at Mania is so strange to me.
Yeah, there are a lot of these matches that going into it, I knew that it was going to happen because Anthony and I, we share back and forth links to stuff that happened before this Mania, so we can get kind of caught up with story.
Yep.
But I went into most of this card completely blind, just taking it as it comes. Seeing Terry Funk was very strange. I did not expect that, but I was very surprised, and I pleasantly surprised. This is one of my higher rated matches. I thought this match was fantastic. It was the Funk Brothers, or the Funks, versus Junkyard Dog and Tito Santana. I wrote here, Terry Funk is so good. Tito and JYD are over. Going into this match, I was excited for it. Tito and JYD were some of the highlights of the last Mania for me. So going into this, I was very, very happy for this. Terry Funk gets sent over the top rope by JYD, hits hard on the concrete floor, no padding. I wonder if that was the case with the last location with Dynamite Kid, if there was no padding on that as well. I hope not, because it was straight like concrete flooring pretty much. It was like that, I don't know how to explain it, but it had like some mat over it, but it was like no mat at all. It was like plastic kind of concrete kind of stuff. But I wrote here, Tito is so fast and hits hard. Santana was getting pummeled by the Funk Brothers, and he finally crawls, evades Terry to get the hot tag onto JYD. The crowd goes bananas. They go absolutely.
That's a good
pop. Absolute pandemonium here. On the outside, Junkyard Dog body slams Terry Funk onto the table, which popped me. Jimmy Hart throws a megaphone at Terry, hits JYD, knocks him out clean. Terry gets the pinfall here. I thought this was great. This was such a good wrestling match. This was one of my first impressions of Terry Funk. I've seen some of his like deathmatch stuff, but this was like, I think, one of my first like kind of vanilla, clean wrestling match that I've seen by Terry Funk. And man, I was very happy and very pleased with the showing. All these guys in this match was great. There were some great rest holds, just great wrestling overall. So I gave this 3.5 icons.
Yeah, I gave this 2.5 just because I wanted to stay a little more. For me, I really like this match, but it's another case of I love the beginning and I love the ending. The middle was a little bit too slow for me. Maybe I'll have to go back and watch again. Maybe I wasn't really paying attention to it, but I was excited going into this match because of the names. Like seeing Terry Funk on a WrestleMania, as I mentioned, really excited for that. Seeing Junkyard Dog and Tito Santana teaming up was also something I was very much looking forward to because I loved Tito Santana versus the Executioner. I thought that was one of the more underrated matches that we've seen so far. So the fact that he was teaming up with the most over guy on the company, on the show, I should say, from last show was mind-blowing. Was very happy that we were going to see this. Terry is a madman in this match. Just goes like bolting around the ring, selling like crazy, flipping out of the ring, flipping in the ring. You mentioned Tito being very quick, and I agree with that. His drop kicks are so nice. Like all of his drop kicks just look so clean. We get another little crisscross city action going on between Hoss Funk and Tito Santana, which I enjoyed. And I love the moment before JYD tags in where Tito's kind of juking out. I believe it's Terry, where he's kind of like, going back and forth, and he finally gets that tag. I thought that was such a nicely executed hot tag. There was a huge back body over the top rope to Terry. I don't know if you caught that, where he just like flings him over. And I thought it was huge. Like he really went all out on that one. I was surprised by the result. I didn't think that the Funks would go over, especially with JYD and Tito being as over as they are, but they did it perfectly. Like everything that Kirshner and Volkov were doing that flopped with the whole throwing the cane in, they did it perfectly in this match with, throwing the weapon in, Tito kind of inadvertently distracting the referee by trying to get involved in the action. I thought everything worked very well. Besides some little slow parts here and there, I gave this 2.5 stars, 2.5 idols, I should say. Got to brand myself. Fun, just a fun match overall. And it was a good match to lead into this main event that we're about to talk about.
Yeah, let's do it, dude. Let's get right into the main event.
It is time for your main event.
Hulk Hogan versus King Kong Bundy.
Hulk
we go,
Hogan
we
and King
have it.
Kong Bundy in a steel cage.
Yeah, baby. Here we go. Yeah, the championship on the line in a steel cage match. I gave this 3 out of 5 icons, and that was a big pop for Hogan initially. Hogan climbs right over into the cage, rips his shirt off at the top. Great visual. I thought that was really cool. I thought it was awesome here. King Kong Bundy is the first to kind of get close to exiting the cage. Hogan catches his leg. Bundy tears off Hogan's rib tape and starts choking with it, which is fantastic heel stuff. It's kind of crazy seeing just how large King Kong Bundy is, and he's doing like thoughtful, technical heel stuff. He could just be going bruh, bruh, you know what I mean? And he's actually doing stuff, which is cool. Loud cheers for Hogan stopping Bundy from leaving the cage. Bundy's busted open by the cage. Hogan slams Bundy into it, busts him open. Like you said, there was a nice kind of pacing of blood during this pay-per-view. And it wasn't overly, it wasn't a Moxley blade for sure. I'll tell you that much.
Mm-hmm.
It was not anything over. So it was great. Hogan sends him into the bars again. Crowd is loving this, absolutely eating this up. Hogan retaliates with the rib tape and starts choking Bundy out with it. Bundy sends Hogan into the corner for the avalanche. And Alfred Hayes goes, avalanche! Really into this match. I loved it. He does it
so well.
Avalanche!
Avalanche.
You'll need that on a shirt. Avalanche, but spell it like L-A-R-N. You know what I mean? But avalanche into the corner. Hogan does the no sell and body slams Bundy, which was cool, for a huge leg drop. Hogan climbs out of the cage, scores the win. It was more of a scoop slam, but a commentator said body slam, so I'll say body slam. Hogan climbs out of the cage, scores the win. But after the match, after the fact, Hogan corners Bobby Heenan, gets him caught inside the ring in the middle of the cage. Hogan lands a couple of shots on Heenan and just throws him into the steel cage, and then Bobby Heenan's crippled for life. So that was great.
Can I give you another fun fact about this match specifically?
Please.
So Bobby Heenan, 2 days before WrestleMania 2, goes to a hospital or somewhere to do an MRI. I believe this was in Tampa, Florida. And what they found was 2 fractured vertebrae that he desperately needed surgery. This was 2 days before WrestleMania.
Oh my
Bobby
God.
Heenan then got on a call with, I'm going to say it's Vince, but I'm not really exactly sure off the top of my head. But Bobby Heenan, if he was not at WrestleMania, would have gotten fired if he missed that show. So he had to get on a flight, leave the hospital, get on a flight to Los Angeles, and be a part of WrestleMania, not, with this 2 fractured vertebrae needing surgery situation. So props to Bobby Heenan for not only making the show, but taking a bump after the 2 days before this, possibly not have made it in the first place. And who knows if he had not made that show, who knows if we would have gotten the iconic, Bobby Heenan Gorilla Monsoon pairings on commentary that we would, will be experiencing in future episodes. But hey, alas, he did show up to the show, dude. Such a fun match. I do want to call out the guest timekeeper was a young and up-and-coming actor, Ricky Schroeder, and the crowd fucking hates Ricky Schroeder. I don't know who this guy is. He's young. He's got blonde, slick-back hair. Crowd boos him out the building, and he's just got this shit-eating grin on his face the entire time. Ricky Schroeder, I hope you're watching this. You are the ultimate heel. You are Mr. Mania. Anyways, yes, they Hogan's entrance was superb. Like you said, love the visual of him just ripping his shirt on the top of the cage. They got some really great shots of like aerial shots of the cage while the match was going on, which I thought looked so good. They really pumped up the production on this match to really make it feel as big of a match as it was. And there's so much like story in this match. And I think this is what separates like the higher idols to the lower idols. Like matches like Paul Orndorff versus Don Morocco or Jake Roberts versus George Wells get those lower grades for me because there's not a lot of like true story happening. When you get stuff like Hogan selling those ribs, like Hogan being desperate to keep Bundy in the cage, like even after he gets attacked, he's like holding on to Bundy for dear life. Bundy bleeding, and even like Hogan after he gets back on a comeback, he tries to lift Bundy up, but he can't do it because the ribs, they give up on him, and Bundy falls right on him. Like stuff like that is really what is going to separate those lower tier matches to just the best of the best. I know I'm hyping this up, and I only gave it 2.5 stars, but like to me, that's like this is a strong 2.5. I was considering giving it a 3, but I don't know. I couldn't like bring myself to give it a 3 for some reason, just because it wasn't like your classic match, like really the best of the best, like that tag team title match. Like that's really where you're gonna get those like 3.5 to 4, that type of area. And of course, just nice after match shenanigans with Heenan getting involved. I gave this 2.5 idols. I thought this just told a fun story. It was just fun. It was just a very good main event. It painted Hogan to be a just amazing babyface. It made Bundy look great. I thought this made Bundy look better than his WrestleMania 1 showing with Special Delivery Jones, even if he did beat him in 9 seconds. Even if that was the case, like Bundy looked like a true villain in this match. And just all the pieces aligned perfectly. I would say WWF right now is 2 for 2 on these main events, because from the tag match from last time around and the steel cage this time around, they're nailing it. And another quick fun fact, this was the only true steel cage match at WrestleMania up until WrestleMania 37, where we got Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon in the steel cage. Usually they would do like Hell in a Cell matches, but this was the only steel cage that we would get until 2021.
Wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that, but yeah, dude, that thus concludes this WrestleMania. I give it 3 icons out of 5. This was just like you said, just a fun time, a lot of story in this match as well. But yeah, dude, thus concludes. We finally made it. We made it through WrestleMania 2, but we have not made it through this Before Our Time episode. Let's get into, what is it called? Mr. Goddamn Mania. So, Mr. Mania, we start off. I'm going to start with my Mr. Mania. So, this is for anyone who doesn't know. We award a person who we think was the top dog, as you can see here, was the top dog of this Mania. I'm going to start with my one. I'm going to give my Mr. Mania to none other but Hulk Hogan, the Hulkster himself. I thought this was a great showing for Hulk Hogan. I thought he was like the real selling point of this pay-per-view, I thought as well. I said that last Mania. He's just like 2 for 2 for this, to be honest. He's like, pretty much you see him throughout the entire pay-per-view and backstage segments. So people know what they're getting into, what they're doing here, and they're really getting into Hulk Hogan here. So I'm going to give him my Mr. Mania, Anthony. I want to know, what about you? What are your Mr. Mania?
Well, they say that great minds think alike, and we don't have great minds, but somehow we thought alike, because I also went with Mr. Mania to be Hulk Hogan. I felt weird not giving Hogan the Mr. Mania the first go around, but I think that's just because of the fact, great heels make great baby faces, and Roddy Piper last time around just truly sold that Mania main event. But when it came down to this, WrestleMania 2, Hogan shined like a star that he is. Like, he sold for Bundy. He made him look like an absolute monster in this match, and he still was able to get his stuff in. I didn't even mention, but you alluded to it before, the Hulk up when he just no-sells a lot of the moves. I thought that was so good. Everything from his entrance to his presentation in the ring, his selling, his big moves, just the way that the crowd perceives him. This, to me, screams Mr. Mania. Other people in contention were Ricky Steamboat, Jake Roberts, of course, Herb was in contention. But ultimately, I had to go with Hogan because he's in the main event. He is the just prime babyface around this time. You could just tell around this time period, no one touched Hogan. Like, it was him, and then it was everyone else. Yeah. So I'm excited to see Hogan going forward. I think this was a very good showcase for him. I feel like this doesn't get talked about enough. Like, even if we haven't seen this match a lot, I know, like, the perception of these Manias, and I feel like not a lot of people talk about Hogan versus Bundy, maybe because it was part of this kind of lackluster Mania, but I thought this was a fun match. I thought it made Hogan look great. I thought Bundy looked superb too, but ultimately I had to give Mr. Mania to the Hulkster himself.
Yeah, no, dude, you bring a lot of good points. I also felt weird not giving it to Hogan last Mania because I was either going to give it to Mr. T or Hulk Hogan. I eventually gave it to Mr. T, and so I felt it was right to give it to Hulk Hogan this time around, if not last time around. So yeah, this was very fair for me. And yeah, dude, we have one more thing to check off the list though.
We've got one more segment.
Episode.
Yes, we've got one more segment that we have to get to before we wrap up shop here at Before Our Time. And it's a segment that we kind of briefly mentioned last go around, but this time, with 2 Manias down, we are getting ready to count up all of our marbles. All the marbles. This is the segment that we talked about last week that Nick had no idea what we were talking about. All the marbles is our top 10 recurring list of the best WrestleMania matches. So from last week to this week, we've had like a running list of our top Mania matches. You know, we had one for the first Mania, we had one for the second Mania, but this time around, this is where we start to merge those lists and we start to see what are our true top 10 Mania matches of all time. I'm going to start with my marbles, if you do not mind. And this is my list that I have going right now. We'll go 10-1 on this. At number 10, I have Wendy Richter versus Leilani Kai for the Women's Championship at WrestleMania 1. Number 9, I have the Battle Royal from this Mania, Mania 2. Number 8, I have the tag match between the Funks and Tito and JYD. Looking at this, maybe I underrated it a little bit, but the matches past this just really scream fun and enjoyable to me more than 8. So number 7, surprisingly, I put this one, but I really like this match. I put David Sammartino versus Brutus Beefcake. Made both guys look great. Number 6, Tito Santana versus the Executioner. I wanted to put this one even higher, but I feel like this is a fine spot for it. First match of Mania history, very underrated one at that. Number 5, we have the main event of WrestleMania 2 with Hulk Hogan versus King Kong Bundy. Number 4, I have the tag title match from WrestleMania 1 between Nikolai Volkov and the Iron Sheik versus the US Express. Fun tag team match there. Number 3, I have Hercules Hernandez versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat from WrestleMania 2. Number 2, I have the main event of WrestleMania 1. That is, of course, Mr. T and Hogan versus Piper and Orndorff. And number 1, how could it not be? It's the four idol classic of the British Bulldogs versus the Dream Team for the WWF Tag Team Championship. So that is my recurring all the marbles list.
Beautiful. Yeah, dude. I guess it just didn't make sense to me last week what was going on because there weren't like 10 matches to rate properly, I guess, over a couple Manias. Yeah. But now it makes sense to me. I get it. And I'd love to go through my list, Anthony, if you'd let me indulge.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So, my number 10, starting off, is George Animal Steel versus Macho Man. I thought this was a great showing. Number 9, Tito Santana versus The Executioner. Like you said, it makes me gassy. It's so good. That was a good burp. I won't lie. That was a good burp.
That was a good one. We've had some good ones tonight.
Thank you. That's what I'm known for. But yeah, number 9, Tito Santana Executioner. First match of Mania history. It's a pretty freaking big deal, and it's a great match. You really kind of sold me on it last week. I wasn't sold on the match, but then you sold me on it, so I watched it back. So it was nice. Number 8, David Sammartino versus Brutus Beefcake. Like you said, some reason this is on here, and it's for good reason, I feel like. Number 7, Junkyard Dog versus Greg Valentine for the IC title. I thought that was just a fun match. Number 6, Jake Roberts versus George Wells. First time properly seeing Jake Roberts in action, and I really enjoyed it. Number 5, I'm with you here. The Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov versus Mike Rotundo and Barry Windham, or as I like to call him, Windham Rotundo.
Windham Rotundo, baby.
Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov getting the win, getting the tag titles, good stuff. Number 4 would be Hulk Hogan versus King Kong Bundy. Loved it to bits. Number 3, Hulk Hogan and Mr. T versus Paul Orndorff and Roddy Piper. From the main event from WrestleMania 1 is my number 3. Number 2, I would have to say would be the Funk Brothers versus Tito Santana and JYD. Absolutely love this match. This was just so fun to me. This is, obviously the second of the night for me. Second of the 2 nights that we've done now of WrestleMania. So very, very much enjoyed it. And number 1, how could it not be, like you said, young Anthony, the Dream Team versus British Bulldogs. Bulldogs getting the win. Just a great match. I'm a big fan of my list here. It's going to be hard going through the other manias down the line and sorting it out. But for right now, this is my 10. And I like the 10. I like it right now. It's very hard for me to make a list, but I kind of like it. So
yeah, I like how your list has a lot of the tag team matches high up on the list. Like, you can definitely tell, like, right away from these first 2 manias, like, if there's nothing else to take away, they really sell you on these tag matches. Like, you know,
I wasn't a tag guy as well. Like growing up, I wasn't really into tag teams.
Me neither.
I guess, or just matches in general. Like the stipulation, I just didn't really. I don't know. I'd rather a singles match. But like these manias are making me fall in love with it. You know, especially wrestling nowadays, making me fall in love with tag matches. So I'm loving it.
Yeah, man, for sure. There's a lot of good stuff to pull from these manias. A lot of bad stuff at the same time, but I would say that this Mania was, if it was hard to get through at times for sure. I think the Chicago portion of the show really just brought it downhill, and to have that right smack in the middle of the show definitely hurt it. But man, that Los Angeles portion, like, you had the Ricky versus Hercules, you had the main event, you had the tag team match. To me, that was definitely the best part of the night, or the best of the 3 cities. That'll be my last question to you. What was your favorite of the 3 cities?
Ooh, it might. Oh, I haven't thought about that. Let me think through these matches. I might have to say LA, honestly, because the main event was great. Chicago would have won it just based off of that tag match alone with the British Bulldogs, but everything else kind of in the Chicago portion was very, I don't know, it's very lackluster. I felt like maybe compared to the rest of the city. So maybe LA, but I don't know, it's a contender for Chicago just because of the British Bulldogs. But I'd probably have to say LA.
Yeah, man. In conclusion, look, this Mania on all-time lists gets a pretty bad rep. I don't know about you, but I think to a point, a lot of the flack is rightfully deserved. But I think there's a lot of stuff on this Mania that kind of gets lost in the shuffle of just the bad aura around it. You have a really great WrestleMania debut for Jake Roberts. You have a really underrated match between Ricky Steamboat and Hercules. You have some banger tag matches, and you have a solid main event. All in all, I think this was, if anything, a fun main event in some parts, but a pretty lackluster main event, a pretty lackluster show, looking at the whole grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there are things to pick through this. I looked up the most like like worst WrestleManias, and this was number 2 on the list, followed by WrestleMania 11, I believe. So yeah, this was number 2 on the worst Manias. I don't know. There are some great matches in here. It's definitely one of the Manias we've watched. I don't know, but I might have to give the up to WrestleMania 1.
Me too.
Anything.
I think I will as well. Just a better, well-rounded show. But with that being said, Nick Storm, we have wrapped up yet another WrestleMania. It's in the books, out of the way. And next week we move on to what many consider to be one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time, 1987's WrestleMania 3. I am looking forward to it. I'm sure you are looking forward to it. And the folks at home should be looking forward to it too. But until then, there is only one thing left to say. You can support The Turnbuckle Tavern by heading on over to theturnbuckletavern.com. Join our community. Listen to all of our podcasts on Spotify and Apple. Watch our beautiful faces on YouTube and Twitch. Join our Discord. Some like-minded individuals talking about wrestling. We have TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, literally every way that you can connect with the tavern. I strongly suggest doing it because we're really growing. We have a lot of great content coming your way. And I also want to give a shout out to Shot of Nostalgia. Of course, this is part 2 of your Flashback Fridays. Shot of Nostalgia had a great episode. Shout out to Ace and Mike. And you can buy their merch on Pro Wrestling Tees and Teespring. They have some really good stuff that they are doing. And next week, they actually have their big special, number 15, Bash at the Beach 1996. This is where Hulk Hogan joins the NWO. This New World Order forms. They actually have a special guest on this episode. Matt from the Extra Cooler Show will be joining Shot of Nostalgia, and it's going to be a fun time overall. I cannot wait for that episode. Nick, do you have any final remarks before we get the hell out of here?
Guys, make sure you do tune in to the Shot of Nostalgia episode. I think I might be stopping by the Shot of Nostalgia studio, if you don't mind, because we have a time traveling machine. That's how we do all these episodes. All right. And
it's very true.
It has a location on it called Shot of Nostalgia, right? So it's got 2. It's got Before Our Time, Shot of Nostalgia. So maybe I'll have to take a trip to Shot of Nostalgia Studios and go there. But you can catch me on Fig Night, I guess, on every Tuesday. Goddamn, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. But yeah, this was closing thoughts. I'm dying. We need to get out of here. This Mania was great. This episode of Before Our Time just really solidifies how fun this series has been for, I don't know about you, Anthony. You might be despising this. You might be hating this. But I am loving this series so much. This is so fun to chat to you about wrestling, especially because we haven't seen a lot of this stuff. So watching it with new eyes is super cool. Hearing each other's takes, I think, are very, I don't know, it's dynamic, it's cool, and this is just a really fun time overall.
There's no one else I would rather spend my Thursdays, or technically Fridays, at 2 a.m. in the morning with than Nick Storm himself talking about Lord Alfred Hayes and Herb. But ladies and gentlemen, until next week, we will see you for WrestleMania 3 as we get back into our time machines. But until then, Shark Week.